back once again to the Whatnauts Reactor Core number 133. We're talking about the Marvels this time. My name is Kyle Springer. I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you?
I'm doing fine. It's been a big week for lots of things to watch. When I was a little girl growing up, looking forward to my life as a successful 30-something career woman, I was like, I hope I'll have content-rich weeks to talk about.
Yes, every young child's dream. Content-rich weeks. Good stuff. Man, yeah, lots of Marvel stuff is happening right now. We just got done recording our thoughts on the finale of Loki Season 2. It should be up on our podcast feed as well as our YouTube channel at the same time as this. So go check that out. But yeah, the Marvels, the latest movie blockbuster in the MCU, the latest installment. This is one I feel like we've been waiting for a while. It had gotten delayed multiple times, partly because of COVID, partly because of who knows what. But it's finally here. We both. I went to go see it on Thursday night. I think you did too.
Yes,
which is interesting because you typically go on Saturdays. You make a whole day of it, and
I do. My normal Saturday morning movie friend was not particularly interested in this one, so I got to have a solo trip out on Thursday night. Took myself to the Alamo Drafthouse, had a nice dinner. Felt good.
Yeah, there you go. That's interesting because I think that's vaguely the sentiment around the MCU right now, is that it is the like MCU fatigue, Marvel fatigue. Some of their recent stuff hasn't been the best or seems a little directionless, or in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't feel like they're connecting things the way like the whole Infinity Saga was connected. And so, yeah, I know box office wise, this movie hasn't been doing the best. I know critically speaking, hasn't been doing the best, but I loved it. I thought this one was awesome. This one was great. Yeah,
I had a very good time.
I had a blast. I think this is one of the better MCU projects recently. I can see why critics might be poking some holes. I can see those same things, but I think just the pure fun that is in this movie makes up for so much. They are I think of the things that are setting up pieces for what's to come in the MCU, this is maybe one of the bigger ones.
Yeah. It actually, maybe more than anything else in the last year, has very important building blocks in it.
Yes, absolutely. So do not skip out on this one. Go check it out. I highly recommend it. I think the three main actresses are just having so much fun on screen. Iman Vellani is the MCU
Stunning.
going forward.
Right.
Like it is her. Like she's so fantastic in this. Some incredible choreography in this. If you just want to see some inventive fight scenes and stuff, go watch this. Have fun. Yeah, there's plenty of good things in this.
There is, yes.
Check out. I highly recommend it.
I'm happy you liked it.
Yeah. Did you want to add?
I also liked it. I'm really on the MCU until the wheels fall off. I have a good time with every one of the movies. Like my lowest opinion of a Marvel movie is like a gentle 5.8. Like I can't go lower than that. And this one was a solid time. And I came in, I've seen so many negative reviews from other people. I'm like, am I going to go in and try to be like fighting against you to get this movie a positive view over here? So I'm happy we're on the same side.
No, it really feels like I mean, so for the critics out there who are maybe a little more serious in their movie criticism, if you will, I can
People who
see
are
why they
critics
might
and
not like
not
this.
people who have a very small reaction YouTube channel.
Yeah, us, right? But
Not
also,
even a big reaction YouTube channel.
but I think there's critics out there who get a lot of traction, yeah, because they have a bigger following, but also buy into the like, well, there were no men in this movie, and the only men in there weren't white, and like you know, there's all of that stuff. And I think it's getting panned a lot for that stuff. But for the people who are actually putting this under a microscope and actually critiquing it, yeah, there's some plot holes. The villain is paper thin and doesn't really have
Yeah.
anything to do in this. I mentioned to my partner, like, they almost could have made the same movie without the villain in this. It kind of would have been the same thing. Like if, so I won't spoil it just yet, but the movie kind of revolves around the quantum entanglement of the superpowers between Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau. And the events of the first Captain Marvel movie, where at the end Captain Marvel destroys the Kree Supreme Intelligence. It deals with that fallout. And if this movie was more about Captain Marvel trying to deal with that fallout without a villain and trying to help them on her own, you kind of could have told the same story. I don't think it would have been as interesting, but still, like
Yeah.
the story works, right? So yeah, it was like I can see why critically might not do so hot, but in terms of audience score, it's a blast from
My
the get
audience had a
go.
lot of fun. There was a lot of
Yeah,
clapping and cheering in that Alamo Draft House.
absolutely, yeah. We had a blast. I cannot recommend it enough. The music is great. The fight scenes are incredible.
There's great stuff in here, particularly that one fight scene in the Kahn household. That's so dynamic.
Yeah, which
That's
is right
really
at the start.
exciting to watch.
Like,
Yeah.
like they get into it right away, and it's so good. But yeah, so I kind of already painted some vague, broad brushstrokes of plot. But I guess I will give everyone a heads up. We will be talking spoilers from here on out. So just a little bit more about the plot without going into too much detail, though. Yeah, the Kree end up finding the other one of the quantum bands. Miss Marvel has the other one, and because the Kree are using it to like open these portals is not the right word exactly, but they're the way they do the like
Yeah.
FTL
Those hexagons.
travel. Yeah, those hexagon things. They are like forcing open those kinds of portals. It's causing some mayhem. And when
And they're like stealing things. Like the Kree homeworld had its atmosphere ruined. So the villain's trying to steal another planet's atmosphere, which is a very fun sci-fi concept.
their sun is dying, their water
Right,
has
we're
all
just-
dried up.
We're
They
just
have
going to
no
suck
natural
up resources from other planets.
right? Yeah. And they do that by like breaking open these portals. And when Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau start studying these things and get hit with this gets hit with the cannot speak gets hit with the energy, that's what causes them to kind of get their powers all mixed up, and they start swapping places whenever they use their powers at the same time. And of course, chaos ensues. They go planet hopping to kind of figure out what the Kree are up to, / warn these other planets of like, hey, they're probably coming to you to steal your water or stuff like that. And that's kind of it. That's kind of the plot of this whole movie here. They need resources, natural resources, because Captain Marvel destroyed the Supreme Intelligence, which kind of kept their planet running. So yeah, where do you want to start with this? You mentioned the fight scene right there at the home.
I want to mention specifically beyond just some of the excellent fight choreography that is in this movie. I think it was such a good choice to have this movie be so Kahn heavy. Kamala's parents and her brother are not just in that one sequence. They are throughout the film, and they get a lot of very fun moments.
Yes, I think was not expecting them to be up in that space in this Haber space station, but they go up with Nick. It's great.
I love her dad trying to like sell 401k options to one of the scientists up there. Like, it's never too early to start saving for retirement. How old are you? And this guy who might be an Asgardian or whatever is like, I'm 306 years old. And he's like, well, it's never too late either. That was one of the most successful elements of the Miss Marvel show, was just the casting and the performances and the dynamic among that family. And I really appreciate that Marvel seemed to take note of that and make that one of its priorities in the Marvels.
Yeah. I mean, that is a big thing in the comics too, is that she is very family centric. And yeah, her family are big parts of her life. And I was just not expecting them to be out in space, which is kind of wild. But yeah, made for some great laughs, especially as he's like trying to like TikTok the like space flight up there, and he's like
trying to show like his wife, like the sister-in-law is the one character who's not here, and I did like that the brother was like, "Hey babe, I'm in space," so like she's kind of there. She is mentioned vaguely.
Yeah, so I'm on a space elevator. I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, wild stuff.
There's also Kamala's also got big photos of her friends in her room. There's a big 8x10 glossy photo of Bruno here for you. There is a real sense of continuity with the Miss Marvel show that I appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love all of the stuff that she's in. When she gets to be up there with the team, she is kind of just starstruck, just starry-eyed the whole time, doesn't really know what to do with that. And yeah, you have this dynamic of these three women that, and again, this is one of the things that like I can see why critically there's maybe some missed points or some plot holes or stuff like that. I wished they focus on the relationship a little bit more between these three women, especially when the last time that Monica saw Carol, she was a young girl who idolized her, right? And then had her heart broken by Carol as she kind of left and did her own thing and kind of abandoned her. And you very obviously get the vibe that Monica is trying to look out for Kamala because she recognizes herself in Kamala of idolizing Captain Marvel, but she hasn't had to go through this like, hey, she abandoned me. Like, sure, she's a superhero, but also she's human too, and I don't think you realize that. And Kamala gets her first taste of that when they are trying to save the Skrulls on that one planet, and they can't save them all.
Yeah, that was rough.
Captain Marvel just has to be like, we need to go. Like, we cannot save them all.
I do want to say that even after Secret Invasion really kind of fumbled with our expectations for it. I'm still excited every time I see a Skrull. I'm like, oh yeah. When I saw him in this movie, I still have positive associations with Skrull. I'm still always like, oh, cool, a Skrull. Just a great visual design. I'm happy every time we see one of them.
It's neat for me to get to see the other like pockets of Skrull refugees, because like they seemed to have a much different culture than the Skrulls that we saw on Earth. Or not much different culture. I don't know if that's the right way to put that, but their trajectories were so different that like obviously we have this like Skrull civil war happening over in Secret Invasion, and then Nick kind of leaves to go handle. So it's like, okay, well the Kree are wanting to do some peace talks with the Skrulls, and we vaguely see that in here. Like again, this was also something I was hoping to see more of. Like this seems like a big plot point that, because Fury kind of fumbled the bag with the Skrulls on Earth, he would want to fix the stuff that's happening with the Skrulls elsewhere. And it's just kind of forgotten about here again, and a lot of those Skrulls die. So I can see the Skrulls continuing to be upset with one Nicholas J. Fury, right? It kind of stinks that we didn't get more of that, but I understand it too, right? Of like that's also not the story that they're telling here. In this, but to briefly go back to the whole thing about these three generation of women here. That kind of is the story that they're telling. And they also don't spend as much time as I would have liked on that. I think they get their point across, but in the way like, okay, you just told me the stuff. You didn't like show me this throughout the movie. I guess you get that one scene of Carol and Kamala in the plane at the end. But that's kind of it, right?
Yeah, I could have used a little bit more. I'm also aware this was like the shortest MCU movie in a while. It was like hour 43 or something. Like it didn't cross that 2-hour mark like a lot of them do. And I can imagine with a longer runtime, there could have been room for this. But also, I think this has been something people have been wanting. We're in an era of very long movies. And I can also see the shorter runtime being a big plus for some viewers.
Yeah, there's pros and cons for sure. Because I left being like, that was fun. That was light. It was breezy. Like, I had a good time.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a positive experience, partly because it didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome.
Yeah, it moves well.
But also, it could have used like half an hour more. Right, ish, to expand on that, to give the villain a little more give the villain a little more weight.
I did like the look of Dar-Benn. She looks very cool. I look forward to seeing that this seems like a very cosplay rich movie between her look, the Captain Marvel Princess Bride dress that she transforms into suddenly. There's fun looks in this movie. Fun performances too.
Do you want to talk about that planet that they go to? So after they save the Skrulls, one of the next planets that they go to be like, hey, they're about to steal your resources. It's like Aladdin or something. What's the name of that planet? I don't know. I'll look it up.
I didn't memorize it because it didn't seem like I'd need to know it again.
But yeah, they go to this planet where their language is song.
I love musicals, and I almost wish they went bigger with this. Like, it is this sort of light, sing-songy form of communication, and I wish it was a little bit more bombastic truly like a showstopper Broadway number or something like that. But I appreciated that it was there.
Aladna? Is
that sounds right. Sure.
Aladna. Yes. Yep, that's the one. Aladna. There you go. Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. I know we were kind of thinking early on, like, oh, they do a Bollywood number kind of style thing in this, and I know in the comics there is a similar planet where, like, they
we read those, yeah,
song, yeah, and I don't know. I felt like it was okay. Like this, I think was another like. One thing that I think the movie does really well, despite some of the things I may have just said, is it's paced incredibly well. It just kind of continually moves on. So you get the fight scene at the house, but it moves on pretty quickly. They discover like, oh, we're on a space elevator. Like now Kamala's with the team. Now they're saving the scrolls. Now they're on Aladna. Now they're this. Now they're that. Like it moves pretty fast. Which I liked. And this felt just kind of a symptom of that. Like, sure, they probably could have explored it and made it seem a little more real, if that makes sense. It just kind of silly that they communicate in song, and then when they're fighting, there's no, like, war song that they're singing, right? There's
more song, just, more types of song.
Yeah, more like ways to like can one of that like did Monica Rambeau when she was in college, was she like a part of some like step troupe that like that would have been neat, like mix in more stuff. Can Kamala do the dance that she did at the wedding to like somehow introduce herself in her like I don't know.
I like it, but like more. Yeah. If we're gonna do it, let's really do it. And I feel like it did kind of have its thunder stolen by the real show-stopping Broadway number of the movie, which is the scene where all the Flerkens gooses all these babies, all these egg babies, and they have to get all of these people off of this space station that's in danger. And they're like, we do not have room for everybody in the escape pods. But the Flerken can like swallow people and like hold them safely and spit them out. So there's all these Flerkens all over the space station, and they're like, we have to let people get eaten. We can fit all the Flerkens on the escape pod, and then they can just spit them back out later. So there's this scene where everybody is running through the space station screaming, getting attacked by these Flerkens, while there's an announcement going, let the Flerkens eat you. We promise this is normal. And they do all of this set to Barbra Streisand singing Memories from Cats.
Yeah. It's so let me ask you this first. When they found that pink, like what we now know is in a Flerken egg, did you know what it was right away?
I couldn't even tell it was an egg.
So, yeah, at first I was like, is that a brain? Like, what kind of thing is that? And then I was like, I guess it could be an egg. And then immediately once I said that, like, in my mind, I was like, the trailer. There were baby Flerkens.
Smart.
Like, all these cats. I was like, this is it. Like, it's not going to be this one. There's going to be a bunch of them. And sure enough, yeah, that's what happened on the Saber space station where this was happening. And yeah, I like the idea. It's so smart, and they is back, and Carol's like, so we're literally herding cats, and Nick Fury's like, yeah, and she goes, okay, come here, kitty. It's just like so happy.
It's such a silly scene, but I think it is genuinely clever. Like, that's a nice bit of problem solving, is just let the Flerkens eat everybody. That's a nice, efficient use of something you've already established. I like that we see the gag of, like, a Flerken eating somebody and then spitting them out. And the story's like, how can we take that and use that for good? How can we make that a tool to solve a problem? And just the silliness of we're gonna play memories. She's really gonna hit it when all the Flerkens are out in the space pod jettisoned into space.
Great stuff.
Really preposterous, but I'm so happy I saw this.
Absolutely. And then when they finally do land back in New York, this escape pod full of all the Flerkens, there's that one dude who's like at the park having a picnic, watching all these cats like throw people up. Just like, I'm gonna slowly get up and leave.
And he's like having a picnic alone. That guy was having a real like treat himself day, and now it turns into this. Who is he?
And like, that's the thing, is like, it's a joke in the background. Like, they don't focus on him. There's no reaction of him being like weirded out by these things. He just like, okay, I'm gonna slowly pack my stuff up and leave and not say a thing.
I'll take my potato salad, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of my biggest complaints for the MCU as a whole right now is there's a lot of pieces on the board that have not been talked about since the like big giant god hand in the sea.
2 years and counting, waiting for somebody to mention big hand.
Right. The Skrull Civil War. Your president was a Skrull. Like, what is happening with all of this stuff? To now there's a bunch of cats vomiting aliens on. Are we
gonna have a secret invasion, but for cats? Are people across the world going to start being suspicious of any new cats they adopt? Like, how can I make sure this isn't a Flerken? Yeah.
This was a thought that I had as all of these Flerkens are like escaping this escape pod. I was like, this was the real secret invasion. The Flerkens.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, we don't get much more of Nick Fury and Kamala's family until like at the end.
They are nice comic foils for each other, though. I liked seeing him interact with the family. I like that bit towards the beginning where Kamala is like zapped up in the air and Monica has to figure out how to like fly up there and get her. And they're like plummeting to the ground. And then like 12 feet from the ground, they swap and it's Carol who falls and hits the ground. And Nick Fury's just like, oh, it's okay. It's Carol. to Kamala's family, because she's like
switches away.
Right, because he's like, oh, Carol can take it. No worries. No need to be concerned for Carol hitting the ground. She's fine.
Good lord. There's some great comedic moments with them, but I want to talk about the villain a little bit more here, because I think the movie ends up revolving around her plan to reignite the sun on Hala by using these quantum bands to, I guess, like smash her wrists together and ignite the sun. And there's it in kind of an accident. As they're fighting her, there's a piece of debris that falls on her and stabs her, and you can tell like, oh, this is a fatal wound here. Like, this is not a like, I mean, we'll get you to a hospital, like you'll be in stitches and like you'll be in pain for the next 6 months, but you'll be all right, champ. It is the like, oh shit, this is not good. What's happening? And in this, I think they have this like, this is what I feel like the villain didn't really have much to do because of the way she was taken out, because of her plan is just like, hey, we need natural resources, and is a classic case of like, but we didn't talk to anyone about it. Like, you probably could have worked out a treaty or like figured out some place, like, can we temporarily locate some of our people to other planets while we fix this planet and do stuff like that. You just didn't be like, hey, Nick, y'all got some water? You got a spare son? I think Star Wars over there has a planet with two sons. Do they really need both of those?
A character asking another character, got a spare son. Seems like it could happen here. This is a world where somebody has just like generated a son for fun and is like, oh, you want it? Space, I'm not doing anything with it. Yeah.
Them being out in space, like, is there not some kind of like galaxy that has like binary suns that like spin around each other or something like that? Can they not steal one of? I mean, it would wreck that galaxy, sure, but can they find one that's not inhabited or doesn't have any other planets that, right? Like, there has to be something out there. But no, her plan is to reignite this, and it's all Carol's fault, which then goes back to the thing of like, hey, Carol's human too. Like, she did what she thought was the right thing and was the right thing for her, but also didn't really think about the consequences and stuff of her actions. And it ended up destroying this planet, which she's now having to kind of stop those people from destroying other planets because she messed up. And so, yeah, it's this big realization, right, of yeah, I messed up. Let me help you. Like, that is what I'm here for. I'm here to actually help, not destroy you. But you didn't talk about this thing, but also Kamala being like, no, this is your chance to do. Like, this is your chance to be the person I know you are. Like, I was not wrong for idolizing you in this way. I know you're a good person. And to be honest, I kind of thought Kamala was going to be the one to be like, well, just give me the bands and I'll go smash my wrist together and do all of that. And she gets her moment. And then it is like, now Captain Marvel idolizes her for being so selfless.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And yeah. But not exactly what we get. I like that Kamala gave her the opportunity. Like, no, you need to be the person that I see you as in my eyes, even if that's not exactly what she's saying or thinking. I don't know.
I liked learning a little bit more that Carol was not just busy taking care of other planets, but she truly felt ashamed for what she had wrought, thinking, I will improve the quality of life for the Kree people by getting rid of the Supreme Intelligence. I did not foresee a power vacuum and a civil war, and that would destroy their planet and wreck their resources and everything. And she's like, I have to clean up after myself. She's like, I could not go back to Earth and face my friends, the Rambos, knowing I had done this. That's really why I never came back. And also seeing that Monica always blamed her for never coming back and never thought that she did return during the blip when Monica wasn't there. I think that was a nice twist. I was so happy we did get to see Maria in this movie, because I don't think I had heard that was confirmed or not. I love Lashana Lynch. I think it was really fun getting to see her again, getting to know that for sure she did have a final moment between her and Carol.
Yeah, that was a good scene. There are some really, really good emotional moments in here. But I think just because of the nature of the film and the pace at which it's set, like, they just aren't going as deep into set. Like, they really could have made some of these emotional beats hit that much more. Because I'm not gonna lie, I've cried at some of these Marvel movies. They know how to hit you when they want to. They can do that. And I think there are emotional moments in here that could have been that, but they weren't. Like, I didn't even tear up in this, but when there is this, like, I was ashamed to come back moment, and her being like, but I needed you. Like, it wasn't just them that needed you, it was me too.
Yeah, and she's like, we're family. I would never have held that against you. Like, I would never have looked at you as less of a person. Like, you could have come to us. That's what family is for.
Yeah, like, I feel like I should have cried at that moment, or at least teared up, right? But yeah, I think great job all around. Like, I'm not saying that I did not feel the emotions. I just felt like they could have taken it one step farther. But yeah, good stuff with that. I guess, do you want to go ahead and talk about kind of the ending scenes here?
Before we get to the stuff at the end, there's one joke I want to shout out, which is at the beginning of the movie when they're first being swapped around, and Kamala is briefly on Dar-Benn's ship. And then she's telling that to Captain Marvel, like, oh, I saw these like star charts in her ship, like she's going somewhere. And Carol's like, maps where to? And she's like, to the stars.
Stars? Yeah, I don't know.
She's like, I don't know the names of individual stars. I've never been to space before.
That was good. And then I liked when her and Monica fly off and they leave Miss Marvel there, and she just stops and is just like looking out at the sky, just like, and then she turns around and she's left with all of these like Kree workers and stuff that are on this ship, and she's just like, I can't fly. Like, I don't know what to do.
I also love the training montage when they're trying to zap in and out of the double Dutch jump ropes, and Kamala's just standing there ready, like, keep going.
And now.
Maria's like, come on, jump in, come on, get in there.
Absolutely great stuff.
That aspect in particular, the training montage, was very fun. I liked seeing such a classic old school like group of girls activity. I loved getting to see double Dutch specifically in this movie. I love that they had something to double Dutch with. They're on the ship.
Right, they had
probably not literal jump ropes. I'll find something. We'll make do.
Yeah, maybe they had rope or cables on the ship, or they had some kind of like fabricator that they could just be like, just give us like jump ropes, right? And they 3D print something. Who knows?
Next part of the training montage is they do a cootie catcher.
MASH. Let's see. Who are you gonna marry? Carol, it says you're gonna marry Rhodey. What? Oh my goodness.
Actually, when Valkyrie shows up, I kind of got a vibe off Captain Marvel and Valkyrie. I was like, have y'all gotten up to something? Yeah.
I don't know, but I know in the comics she has a romance with Rhodey going on there, Carol, so I don't know, but yes, the end scenes here. So the ending scene of the movie before the credits hit, I think, is brilliant.
Yes.
It mirrors two scenes in the MCU just brilliantly. So we get the like interior of this apartment. It's dark on the inside. You can kind of see through the like these like foggy windows that someone is approaching, and you don't know who exactly. But you can see the outline of a bow, and I was like, it's Kate. Here we go. Yes. It's Kate. And then they open the door. You can't see them yet, but they say, "Hey, it's pizza time," and they toss a slice of pizza to Pizza Dog.
See, I love that we are bringing in not only heroes, but the extremely valued supporting characters from these heroes' stories. Like, they know the audience wants to see Pizza Dog. We want to see Kamala's parents. Don't worry. These characters are also along for the ride.
Pizza Dog is best dog. And yeah, then kind of in the shadows, Kamala is sitting there in the same way that Yelena was in the Hawkeye show. And that's what I thought their parody was. I was like, she's doing they're doing that scene again, but instead of a villain, it's Kamala, right? And then it morphs into the end credit scene from Iron Man 1, and she has her Nick Fury moment of like, I'm putting together a team. And it's just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be Young Avengers. It's great.
This is perfect. I think the time is right to bring in another moment like this. You know, Aman Vellani was so elated that she got to be the one to do this.
Absolutely. If I to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if she's the one that pitched of like, let me do this scene.
I believe that.
Right? Nick is off in space. I'm the new Nick, right? I'm the Nick now.
I volunteer to do it. I love her reaching out to Kate specifically. It makes sense, like geographically, from Jersey and New York. This is just like the first Young Avengers she can get to on the bus. Maybe she asked her dad to drive her.
I mean, there's what's his name? Isaiah Bradley's kid that we saw that didn't have any powers, but we know
maybe we'll come back to him.
Yeah. Who knows? But yeah.
It really makes sense that Kate is the first person she reaches out to. I think those two actresses like Aman Vellani and Haley Steinfeld will have great chemistry with each other. And I like that we are starting this team on somebody with cosmic powers and somebody who's just very good at archery.
Yes.
I like that we've got that balance right here from the start.
You have that balance like you mentioned, but think about their characters too. Kate was obsessed with Hawkeye, right?
Yeah.
Just obsessed with the Avengers in the same way that Kamala is just obsessed with all things MCU in the MCU, right? Like just perfect. And that's why like Kate's face just lights up, just team? Yes? Yeah, let's do it.
These are the two to start it. I'm really happy this is our beginning step, these two together.
Yeah. Great stuff. I loved that scene. I thought that was fantastic. I like that there's the detail that she still has the like communicator pad, and she's like, "Oh, this I found it in my couch." It's like, did you find it or did you hide it in your couch?
I love when she asks Monica, "If all of this is top secret, why is it clear?"
What? Yeah, that means. People behind, like, it's smart, right? But also just like, what kind of question is that? So good. Is that an iPad? But then we do get our true mid-credits scene here, which is both equally exciting as the one we just talked about, but also in a moment just heart-breaking.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, there is one more portal that the Marvels have to close up, and to do so, Monica kind of sacrifices herself to like, I have to be on the other end of this portal to close it up, which means I'm going to be in a universe that I don't know. In my mind, as they were doing that scene, I was like, remember that Doctor Doom comic we read and Blue Marvel was in that other universe? I was like, I wonder, because everyone was
speculation that Blue Marvel would be in this. I forgot about him.
Yeah. And so, my first thought was like, I wonder if we'll get like a Blue Marvel cameo at the end or something like that. No, we did not. But as a result of her kind of giving all of her power to shut this portal, this mid-credit scene starts with her waking up in what appears to be some kind of hospital-like environment. And as she's coming to, she sees her mom sitting right next to her. And I had kind of heard that there was maybe going to be some X-Men related stuff based on some tweets. And so when I saw her mom heading there, I was like, I bet that's Mystique.
Oh.
And my thought was, like, Professor X must have like read her mind or something and tried to do a nice thing by, let me have someone here with you that can provide a friendly face. And so my first thought was, this is Mystique. It's not actually
interesting
her
theory. Yeah.
mom. But that's not the case. But man, it was heartbreaking
Yeah.
to see her wake up and be like, "Mom, Mom, oh my God, it's my mom!" And she's so happy and
Oh,
crying of just like, "What happened? Like, why are you here? How are you here?" And just immediately, "I'm not your mom. This is
mm-hmm.
not it." And of course, at that moment is when the emotion switches as this big blue hulking beast just walks
Big
in, and
claps
yeah,
for Beast.
we get Hank McCoy, just looking straight out of the cartoons. He looks fantastic. Um, Man, just looks so good. And yeah, is mentioning like, "Hey, yeah, we've been taking care of you. You've been out for a little while," and then mentions to the character that looks like Monica's mom, like, "Hey, Charles said something, something, something," which is great. It's like, okay, okay, we're in New York, I think. Here we go. But yeah, then we finally do get a look at the character that is not her mom. She like is in a costume and is like, "My name is Binary," which is fantastic. If you know the history of Monica Rambeau and all of that stuff. Um, yeah, just
I,
like, okay, here we go. It's the X-Men.
I,
We've
I
gotten,
was,
it used to be a mention of mutants to like alternate multiverse
yeah.
realities. Here's another one,
This
another
was a
alternate reality
good,
with the X-Men here.
good step forward. It was exciting to see, just to be in the space again. I could not believe how delighted I was just to see the X door. Just that door made me so happy. I didn't realize how much nostalgia I had attached to the door that looks like an X. Nice to see and hear Beast again. I think that's a good
Yeah.
start. When they're not sure like who might be all of the X-Men yet, it does seem reliable to say, well, we could probably still get Kelsey Grammer to voice Beast and figure
Yeah.
out who the rest of
Make it a
the
little more
face actors are
CGI so
later.
it looks a little more not like, "Oh,
I-
you were in the movie Cats, right?" No? Okay.
and like I said, I really love Lashana Lynch. It's great to know that we
Yeah.
get to see more of her in another incarnation in these movies. And she
I
looks
hope so.
great
Yeah.
in that costume. She is wearing that better than a lot of other actors wear a superhero costume.
Absolutely. That was I said out loud, I was like, "Oh, she looks fantastic."
Yeah.
In that. Yeah. Yeah, she looks incredible. Yeah, guess for people who aren't as familiar with the history of Monica Rambeau, I'm also not super familiar in general, so take this with the grain of salt too. But generally speaking, Monica Rambeau at one point also does take up the moniker of Captain Marvel.
Mm.
I think she at one point goes by Binary, which is what her mom is in this universe. When they were on Aladna, and you see her costume with like the drapes under her arm, that is a reference to her costume in the comics at one point as well. And then I don't think they ever mentioned the name that she ends up going by, but Photon is the name that
Yeah, I know there's
Monica
been
tends to go by.
I know she has gone by multiple names in the comics, and people have been waiting to be like, is she Photon? Is she Spectrum? And I'm like, I think
Right,
Monica,
yeah.
the character as they've established her, would want to call herself Photon in memory of her mom. It makes sense based on her powers why she would be Spectrum, but I feel like emotionally that isn't what she would pick.
Right.
The running bit throughout the movie where Kamala's trying to help her come up with a superhero name, and one of the ones she
Professor
suggests,
Marvel.
yes, Professor Marvel, the original name of the Wizard of Oz, who went traveling, got lost, and wound up on the other side in this magical universe. There was a real
Great Easter egg. Yeah.
real subtle bit of foreshadowing there. Yeah, that she's going to wind up in another place. That was a real exciting thing to realize as I was walking out after the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing to me is that in that situation where she's closing the portal, like she's using her powers to push the things shut. It's just it's also a case of like, well, why can't you be on the other side and use your powers to pull?
I don't know.
Right? Like, there's no good explanation for all of that.
I will say that we have seen those hexagonal space portals going back to Guardians of the Galaxy. So for like 9 years, we've seen them and they've shown up in multiple movies. They've established the look of those so well that it really is unnerving to see those things like peeling off like wallpaper.
Yeah.
That's one of the joys of how long the MCU has run. You get to see these certain elements over and over again. And when something's wrong with them, something's really wrong with them.
Yeah. I'm wondering though if she's going to take the name Binary. If she ends up making it back to her universe, because I feel like she has missing time with her mom. Right? And her mom already had the name Photon in her universe. But it like, if she gets to spend some time with the binary of this X-Men universe and it is inspired by her or what like her mom could have become, right? I wonder if she takes that back as a potential name there. But
who knows where she'll go?
Who knows?
When we'll see her again.
Who knows? It's also with a name like Spectrum or Binary, like you're playing on light. I feel like Binary is a lot more limiting and it's not really about what her powers are. So I think of those two, she'd probably take Spectrum, if I'm being honest. But I feel like Photon is still the best name of all of them. I don't know.
Or maybe she will like stick to her guns and be like, I don't want a name. Just call me Monica, please.
Yeah.
She's going to take the Jean Grey route.
Yeah. I don't know, because I feel like she has some recent comics too, in which I think she's called Photon. I think. I don't know. I don't remember, but yeah, that mid-credit scene was phenomenal. That was great.
That was a really lovely surprise. Yes.
I hope we don't have to go another 2 years in our time or in MCU time before anyone else mentions the word mutant or X-Men or weird immortal god hand in the ocean, right? Like they really need to just start tying all these threads together.
I hope so. I can imagine that Deadpool 3, with how wild and dense that movie could be, could at least nod at a lot of this stuff. Even if we don't have real plot forward movement with everything, he will make a joke about Big Hand. I have faith in Wade Wilson.
Who's he jerking off, right? Yeah, I don't know. I had a blast with this. I think this is one of the better MCU movies in a while, just because of how fun it is, all the building blocks they set up, and it does, like, I don't want to go as far as to say they are tying things together in this, but this felt more like we'll just introduce some weird thing to the world and we'll leave it out there, and whoever wants to, right, like the big hand that we keep mentioning, this feels more purposeful with what they're including, and it feels like they are setting up stuff. So I had a blast. It was fun. Go check it out. Highly recommend it. All that good stuff. Do you have anything else that you want to mention? Should we
on an unrelated note, I've started watching so many horror movies that I can pick out a good scream, and Iman Vellani's got a good scream on her. I'd like to see her in a horror movie sometime, perhaps with director Nia DaCosta, who did the recent Candyman movie.
Here's something I also thought of in a movie where they are punching holes into other galaxies, why is there no mention of America Chavez?
I don't know who
I
all
don't.
knows her.
Sure. I also don't remember exactly where she ended up
She's at
at the end of
Comertage, I
Multiverse of
think.
Madness.
She's at
Is she in
magic school,
Comertage?
I think.
Okay, because I don't think in the comics her powers include like the ability to close a portal that she's ripped open, but I know she has the ability to like punch holes in a universe. Um, and so I just thought it was odd of like there's no mention of her. I guess the story's not about her. I was not expecting her to be a big part of this, but I don't know, just like, made me think of her. So there you go. I think that's our thoughts on the Marvels. So there you go. We hope you guys enjoyed both the movie and our thoughts on that. But Melissa, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
I have a letterboxd at Wilkywit, WILKYWIT.
There you go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on most of the social media places. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on most of the social medias. So go check us out. Go like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the deal with all of that. If you are watching this on YouTube, go check out one of our other videos right over there on that side of the screen. That would help us out even more. But yeah, this has been number 133 of the Whatnauts Reactor Core. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.